You ever have one of those moments where a single sentence makes your stomach drop? Like the world is still moving, but you're frozen in the middle of it. Every sound fades out, and your heartbeat becomes the only thing you can hear. That's what happened when my neighbor, Mrs. Green, smiled at me and said, "Everything okay with your plumbing, Mateo? That van was parked outside your house for hours yesterday." Hours. That word kept echoing inside my head. See, my wife, Emily, told me the plumber came for a 5-minute fix. She even joked about how he charged more for the visit than the actual work. 5 minutes. But Mrs. Green swore she saw the van for nearly 6 hours. What would you do in that moment? Would you trust your wife's word? Or the eyes of someone who's lived across from you for years and never once lied? I tried to laugh it off at first. I told her, must have been another house, Mrs. Green. But deep down, something twisted in my gut. I didn't want to believe there was a reason to doubt Emily. She's the woman I built my life with. 7 years of marriage. 7 years of laughter, shared dreams, silly arguments, and quiet nights watching TV. But when I got home that evening, something felt off. She greeted me like always, warm smile, soft voice. But there was something in her eyes, something almost rehearsed. And I don't even know why I noticed it. Maybe it was the way she avoided eye contact when I mentioned the sink. "The leak's all good now?" I asked. "Yeah, easy fix," she said. "He was barely here 5 minutes. Came and tightened something, done." 5 minutes, again. She said it like she'd rehearsed it. I stood there, staring at the perfectly fixed sink, my reflection rippling faintly in the water. For some reason, I imagined the van sitting outside, hours passing, the sun moving across the sky, Emily inside with someone, talking, laughing. Something else? My chest tightened at the thought, and I immediately scolded myself for it. "Stop it, Mateo. Don't be paranoid." But it wasn't paranoia, it was confusion. A seed of doubt planted by a casual comment from a kind old neighbor. I tried to shake it off. We had dinner like normal, chicken curry and rice, Emily's favorite. She told me about her day at work, how her boss had been on her case about deadlines. I listened, nodded, smiled where I was supposed to. But the entire time, my mind was somewhere else. That van. Those hours. Why lie about it? After dinner, she went upstairs for a shower. I sat there, staring at my plate, untouched curry going cold. My mind was racing now, imagining all the possibilities I didn't want to imagine. I hated that my brain even went there. I'd always thought trust was our strongest bond. I took my phone, scrolled aimlessly, trying to distract myself. That's when I saw Mrs. Green's text in the neighborhood group chat. Someone had left their trash bin halfway on the road again. A totally innocent message. But suddenly I remembered something. Her doorbell camera. Her house faces ours. It's a top-of-the-line security cam. She even showed it off last summer when she caught a raccoon stealing her birdseed. That camera could have easily recorded everything: when the van arrived, when it left, who got in or out. And just like that, the thought planted itself. Should I ask her to check it? My pulse sped up. It felt wrong. Violating, even. Emily didn't deserve that kind of suspicion, did she? But what if she was lying? What if I was the fool here, trusting blindly, while something unfolded right under my nose? I remember walking up the stairs that night like my body was heavy. Emily was already in bed, hair damp, scrolling her phone. She smiled up at me, asked, "You okay?" I nodded. "Yeah, just tired." I lay down beside her, listening to the soft rhythm of her breathing. I tried to match it, tried to believe everything was normal. But there's something about silence, it amplifies everything you don't say out loud. I stared at the ceiling for hours, my mind playing that word over and over again. Hours. The next morning, I left early for work. On the way out, I saw Mrs. Green watering her flowers. She waved at me with that familiar, gentle smile. For a second, I almost asked her right then. I almost said, "Hey, could I see your doorbell footage from yesterday?" But then I pictured Emily's face if she ever found out. That look of betrayal, that hurt, the possibility that I'd break something that couldn't be fixed just because of a rumor. Or maybe because of my own insecurities. So I didn't ask. Not that day. But that question stayed with me all morning, clinging to the back of my mind like a shadow. At work, I couldn't focus. Every email looked blurry. Every sound felt distant. I caught myself replaying the tiniest details, her tone, her pauses. The way she mentioned the plumber casually, like it was nothing. Why mention him at all? If it was such a quick job. By lunchtime, I'd already imagined 20 different scenarios. None of them ended well. And here's the part I'm almost ashamed to admit. By 3 p.m., I wasn't thinking about if I should ask Mrs. Green. I was thinking about how to do it without anyone finding out he didn't go straight home after work. That day, I parked 2 streets away and just sat there, engine off, watching the sunset bleed orange across the sky. My hands were gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles went white. I felt like I was teetering between 2 cliffs, one called trust and the other called truth. When I finally pulled into our driveway, I noticed something strange. The trash bin was still out. Emily never forgets to bring it in. She's almost obsessive about it. I remember thinking, maybe she was busy today. But the car was in the driveway, meaning she'd been home for a while. Inside, the house smelled faintly of lavender and something else. Something metallic. I followed the scent to the kitchen, the sink. The same one that supposedly took 5 minutes to fix. There was a new wrench sitting on the counter, one I'd never seen before. Still damp like it had been used recently. "Hey, you're home early," Emily said behind me. Her voice calm, almost too calm. She was wearing that oversized blue sweater I bought her for Christmas 2 years ago. The one she only wore when she was nervous or wanted comfort. "Yeah," I said, forcing a smile. "Long day. Everything okay at work?" "Yeah, just thinking about the sink." "You said it's fixed, right?" She glanced at it, then back at me. "Yeah, why?" "No reason. Just, did you use this wrench?" I asked, pointing at it. Her eyes flickered for half a second before she smiled. "Oh, that? Yeah, I tightened the faucet myself earlier. It was still dripping a bit." I nodded, but something in my chest tightened. She didn't usually handle repairs. She always called me for help. I let it go, or at least pretended to. Later that evening, while she was folding laundry upstairs, I went outside to grab something from my car. The air was cool, the kind that carries the faint sound of distant TV chatter from other houses. And then I saw it, Mrs. Green stepping out to lock her front gate. We made eye contact. She smiled, and before I could stop myself, I walked over. "Hey, Mrs. Green," I started casually, my heart pounding in my throat. "About that plumbing van you mentioned yesterday." She tilted her head. "Oh yes, the one outside your house? Was everything all right?" "Yeah, all fine. Just curious, though. You said it was there a long time." She nodded slowly. "Oh yes, I remember because my grandson was over. We were playing in the garden, and that van didn't move for hours. I even told him, that plumber must be earning overtime." I forced a laugh. Right. Then came the question I'd been dreading to ask. "You wouldn't happen to have caught that on your camera, would you?" She blinked, then smiled. "I'm sure I did. It records everything." "Why? Did something happen?" I hesitated, words drying up in my throat. I could almost feel the weight of what I was about to do pressing on my shoulders. But curiosity, no. Fear pushed me forward. I just want to check the timing. Make sure the plumber came when he said he did. Some companies overcharge. It wasn't a complete lie. Just not the whole truth, though. "Of course," she said kindly. "You can come by tomorrow morning. I'll show you the clip." My heart thumped hard. Tomorrow morning. It felt both too close and not close enough. That night, I barely slept. Every sound in the house made me flinch. The creak of the floorboards, the hum of the fridge, the faint buzz of Emily's phone on the nightstand. She was asleep beside me, breathing softly, looking peaceful. And I hated that my heart couldn't rest while hers did. Around midnight, I got up for a glass of water. As I passed by the living room, I noticed her phone lighting up on the couch. She must have forgotten it there earlier. I wasn't the kind of man who checked his wife's messages. I never even thought about it before. But, in that moment, I stared at the screen like it was a door I wasn't sure I wanted to open. The notification was from someone named Jay. No emoji, no surname. Just a letter. The preview said, "You okay? Haven't heard from you since yesterday." My breath caught in my throat. My first instinct was denial. Maybe it was a coworker. Maybe it was nothing. But the timing. Since yesterday, sent a chill crawling up my spine. Yesterday, the day the van was outside, I picked up the phone, my hands trembling. I didn't unlock it. I couldn't. I just stood there staring at that message like it was staring back at me, silently daring me to confront what I didn't want to see. I put it back exactly where I found it and went upstairs, but sleep never came. The next morning, I felt hollow, like my body was moving, but my soul had stayed behind in the living room. Staring at that glowing message, Emily kissed me goodbye before I left for work. Her lips were warm, soft, familiar, and yet something inside me recoiled. It felt like a gesture performed by habit, not love. At 10 a.m., I texted Mrs. Green, "Can I come by now to see that footage?" She replied almost instantly, "Of course, dear. Come anytime." My heart pounded as I walked over. The world felt muted. Birds chirping, cars passing, people living their lives. All background noise to the storm in my chest. Mrs. Green greeted me at the door with her usual kindness. Come in. Let's take a look." She led me to her cozy living room. The smell of cinnamon and tea filling the air. On her screen, a timeline of recordings appeared. "Here we are," she said, scrolling through the footage. And then I saw it. The white plumbing van, pulling up to my driveway. 10:47 a.m. I leaned closer. The plumber got out, a tall man, dark jacket, toolbox in hand. He walked to the door. Emily opened it, smiling. At 10:53, the door closed behind them. And then, time kept moving. 11 minutes, 0 seconds, and 12 milliseconds, 0. 1 o'clock. 2 o'clock. The van never moved. Mrs. Green clicked her tongue. "See, told you." He must have had a lot to fix. But I couldn't speak. My stomach turned. At 3:25, the door finally opened again. The plumber stepped out, stretching his arms, smiling. Emily followed, standing at the doorway for a moment before waving him off. Mrs. Green chuckled softly. "You've got a friendly wife, Matteo. Always so polite." Friendly. That word cut deep. I thanked her, pretending everything was fine, and walked back home on autopilot. The footage replayed in my head with every step. The smile, the wave, the hours that couldn't be explained away. And for the first time in 7 years, I realized I was afraid to walk into my own house. I don't remember unlocking the front door that afternoon. I just remember the sound it made when it clicked open, louder than usual somehow, like the house itself was holding its breath. Emily was in the kitchen when I walked in, humming softly, cutting vegetables for dinner. She looked so ordinary, so calm, so her. And that was what hurt the most. "Hey," she said cheerfully, looking up. "You're home early again. Everything okay at work?" "Yeah," I said. My voice didn't sound like mine. "Slow day." I stood there watching her for a second, the rhythm of her hands, the slight tilt of her head as she hummed. Every tiny detail felt suspicious now. My mind wouldn't stop dissecting her movements, her tone, her smile. I wanted to ask her right then, "Who was that man, Emily? What did you do for those 6 hours?" But the words stuck in my throat, tangled with fear. Because once I said them, there'd be no going back. So instead I said, "Did the plumber leave you the receipt? I might need it for the records." She froze for just half a second. It was small, barely noticeable, but I caught it. "Oh, he said he'd email it," she replied, returning to her cutting board too quickly. "Email it?" I asked, forcing a casual tone. "Thought you said you paid him in cash." Another tiny pause. "Oh, right. Yeah, I did. Maybe he'll just send it for the record, you know? Some companies do that." It was subtle, but I could feel it, the lie weaving itself into her voice. I smiled weakly and excused myself. Walking upstairs, my chest was tight, like I was carrying an invisible weight I couldn't set down. In our bedroom, the faint scent of her perfume lingered in the air, floral, soft, familiar, but now it just made me sick. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the floor. What if I was wrong? What if there was an innocent explanation for everything? Then I remembered the footage. 6 hours. Her smile, the wave. No, I wasn't imagining things. That night, I started testing her. Little things at first. "Hey," I said casually while we watched TV. "Did the plumber come alone?" She didn't even blink. "Yeah, of course. Why?" "Just curious." Mrs. Green thought she saw another van. That's all. Her expression didn't change. but her fingers tightened around the edge of her blanket. Oh no, it was just one guy. She looked at me then, studying my face. Why are you asking so many questions, Mateo? I shrugged. No reason. Just being thorough. But I could tell she didn't buy it. Later that week, small inconsistencies started surfacing. Her phone face down during dinner. Late night showers. Sudden errands during weekends. Little cracks forming in what once felt unbreakable. One night, I decided to test something else. While she showered, I opened her laptop. My hands shook as I typed in her password, our wedding date. It still worked. Her inbox was clean. To clean. No receipts, no plumber emails, nothing out of the ordinary. But something caught my eye. A new folder on her desktop labeled invoices. Inside were random PDFs, most blank. Except one. I opened it. It wasn't a document. It was an image. A blurry photo. 2 wine glasses on a counter. Our kitchen counter. And beside them, a man's arm. Not mine. I felt my chest cave in. My breath turned shallow. I closed the laptop. My vision tunneling. I wanted to scream, but nothing came out. When she came out of the shower, hair wrapped in a towel, she smiled at me, and I had to fight every instinct not to confront her right there. How was your day? She asked. Fine, I lied. I didn't sleep that night. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, feeling my trust crumble piece by piece. I didn't know who I was angrier at, her or myself for needing proof of what I already knew. By morning, I made a decision. I called in sick to work and told Emily I'd be resting at home. Once she left for the office, I drove straight to Mrs. Green's again. She seemed surprised to see me. Back again so soon? I nodded. Just wanted to double-check something. The footage from that day. Could I maybe get a copy of it? She smiled kindly. Of course, dear. I'll put it on a USB for you. When she handed it to me, I thanked her and walked back home. The tiny drive burning in my pocket like guilt itself. I plugged it into my computer and hit play. The footage started at 10:47 again. The van, the knock, the smile. This time, I watched closely. Every movement, every second. At 12:15. Something subtle happened. The blinds in the living room window shifted slightly, like someone had brushed against them from inside. Then a shadow passed by, the figures, close, moving together. My heart pounded so hard I thought I might faint. By 2 o'clock, I saw it. The plumber stepping out briefly, shirt half untucked, glancing around before going back in. I paused the video, my hand trembling. I wanted to look away. I wanted to pretend I hadn't seen it, but I couldn't. I watched until the moment she waved goodbye at 3:25. She looked happy, relaxed, like someone who had nothing to hide. But she did. And now I knew it. That evening, when she came home, I couldn't look at her the same. Every word she spoke sounded rehearsed. Every smile looked fake. My silence must have scared her because she asked, Mateo, what's wrong? I wanted to tell her everything. That I knew. That I'd seen it all. But I couldn't. Not yet. Instead, I just said, I've been thinking. Maybe we should get our own doorbell camera. She froze. Just for a second. Then smiled. Sure, she said softly. If it makes you feel safer. Safer. That word broke something in me. Because safety wasn't what I needed. I needed the truth. And I wasn't leaving until I had it. I spent the next few days pretending to live a normal life while every cell in my body screamed that it wasn't. We still had breakfast together. Still exchanged those polite smiles couples give when they've run out of real ones. But inside, I was burning. Every time Emily spoke, I heard echoes of that footage, the click of the door, the laughter I imagined behind it, the soft wave goodbye. I'd replay it in my head while she buttered toast or asked about my day. Friday night came. I told myself all week that I'd confront her then. No more guessing, no more half-truths. I even rehearsed what I'd say, calm, rational. Nothing accusatory. But the second she walked through the door, smiling, carrying a bottle of wine, that calm evaporated. Thought we could relax tonight, she said, setting the bottle down. You've seemed stressed lately. Relax, that word felt cruel. I tried to speak, but the words came out sharper than I intended. Who's Jay? Emily. She blinked, her hand freezing on the corkscrew. What, Jay? I repeated. The person texting you. The one who hasn't heard from you since yesterday. Color drained from her face, just a little. Mateo, are you checking my phone now? I didn't need to, I lied. The message popped up while you were in the shower, she sighed, setting the bottle aside. It's my coworker, Jason. We're working on a project. You could have just asked, like I asked about the plumber. Silence. A long, stretching silence that filled the whole kitchen. Her eyes narrowed. What is that supposed to mean? I talked to Mrs. Green, I said quietly. I saw the footage. For a moment, she didn't breathe. Then she whispered, You did what? I saw the van, Emily. 6 hours. You said 5 minutes. Why would you lie? She opened her mouth, then closed it again. Her hands trembled slightly. You had no right to invade our neighbor's privacy. Stop. I cut in, my voice cracking. Just tell me why. Tears welled in her eyes. And for the briefest second I saw the woman I'd fallen in love with, the one who cried at sad movies and laughed at my terrible jokes. But then she looked away. It wasn't what you think, she said. Then what was it? He wasn't just a plumber, she whispered. He's a friend. From before us. He needed help. And I didn't want to tell you because I knew how you'd react. Help? I repeated. For 6 hours. Her voice cracked. He's going through a divorce. He needed someone to talk to. That's all. I stared at her, trying to read the truth in her eyes. But all I saw was exhaustion and fear. If she was lying, she was better at it than anyone I'd ever met. So you hid it, I said. I didn't want to hurt you, she said softly. And now look what you've done, checking cameras, spying on me. You don't even trust me anymore. Something inside me snapped. You made it impossible to trust you. She flinched, and the anger drained out of me as quickly as it came. The room felt cold. Neither of us spoke for a long time. The only sound was the faint hum of the fridge and the clock ticking, reminding us of every second we'd lost. Finally, she whispered, You think I cheated on you? I don't know what to think, I said. But I know what I saw. She wiped her eyes. Then I guess nothing I say will matter. She walked past me upstairs. Leaving the bottle of wine unopened. I stood there for what felt like hours. My hands were shaking, not from anger anymore, but from emptiness. I'd wanted the truth. But now that I had a truth, whatever version it was, it didn't give me peace. It just hollowed me out. That night, I sat on the couch alone. The glow of the TV flickering across the room. I scrolled through old photos of us birthdays, vacations, stupid selfies. Each one looked like a lie now. But maybe they weren't. Maybe they were real once. Before suspicion poisoned everything. Around midnight, I heard her footsteps upstairs, soft and uncertain, then her voice, trembling, Mateo, I'm sorry. I looked up. She was standing halfway down the stairs, eyes red. I shouldn't have lied. About anything. I panicked. I thought you'd think the worst. I already did, I said quietly. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. If you still love me, please, let's fix this. I wanted to say yes. I wanted to run to her, hold her, pretend none of it happened. But I couldn't move, because love built on doubt doesn't stand. It only waits for the next crack. She went back upstairs, and I stayed where I was, staring at the half-open door, realizing the silence between us was louder than any fight. The next morning, the silence in the house felt heavier than ever. It wasn't angry silence. It was the kind that seeps into the walls, into your chest, into your thoughts. The kind that makes every sound echo too loudly. Emily left early for work without saying goodbye. I heard the car pull out of the driveway, then nothing. Just the ticking clock in the kitchen and the low hum of the fridge. I sat at the table, staring at the untouched coffee in front of me. For 7 years, we'd shared the same routine: morning coffee, small talk, a kiss before leaving. It was supposed to be comforting. But now, every detail felt like evidence in a case I couldn't solve. I told myself I should feel vindicated. I caught her in a lie. But instead, I just felt sick. Because even if she was lying, I wasn't sure I was innocent either. I had gone behind her back, checked footage from another person's camera, snooped through her laptop. I'd become the very thing I was afraid of, untrustworthy. But still, that image, The plumber's arm beside those wine glasses haunted me. It wasn't proof of betrayal, but it wasn't innocent either. It existed in that gray, painful space between maybe and definitely by noon. I couldn't stand being in the house. Every room whispered something. The kitchen said, "She smiled here." The living room said, "She lied here." Our bedroom said nothing at all, just silence. I drove. No destination. Just needed air. The streets blurred by, colors washing together like watercolor bleeding too fast. I ended up in a parking lot near a park we used to visit years ago. Back when we still laughed easily. Before everything became careful. I sat there for a long time, replaying her words in my head. It wasn't what you think. He's going through a divorce. He needed someone to talk to. The more I thought about it, the more it could make sense. Emily always had a soft spot for helping people. She comforted coworkers through breakups, brought soup to sick neighbors, listened when no one else would. That was who she was. But if that was all it was, why hide it? Why lie about the 5 minutes? I opened my phone, scrolling through my contacts until I found the plumbing company she'd supposedly called. I dialed the number, half hoping they wouldn't pick up. "Bremen Plumbing. How can I help you?" "Hi," I said, forcing calm. "I'm just checking about a service from last week. Do you have any record for an appointment under Emily Ruiz?" There was typing on the other end. Then, "I'm sorry, sir. We don't have any appointment under that name." My stomach dropped. "Are you sure?" "Yes, sir. Nothing this month." Could it have been another company? I hung up without replying. My hands were shaking again. It wasn't just a lie about the duration. It was the whole thing. I sat there for a few minutes, just breathing, trying to steady the storm inside me. My mind was screaming questions, but my body felt numb. Why lie about the company? Why the fake receipt? Why the van at all? I drove home in a haze, headlights and shadows flickering across the dashboard like ghosts. When I parked, I just sat there for a moment, staring at the house that no longer felt like home. Inside, everything looked normal. The same candles on the counter. The same framed photo of us from our honeymoon, smiling in sunlight. But it all felt staged now. Like a set built for people who no longer existed. Then I noticed her tablet on the couch. The screen was black, but the small LED blinked softly, a notification. I don't know what made me pick it up. Habit, curiosity, desperation? It opened without a passcode. She must have forgotten to set one up again. I scrolled through her recent apps, email, calendar, notes, nothing unusual. Then, at the bottom, a folder labeled Simply Projects. I clicked it. Inside were screenshots, PDFs, and what looked like drafts of typed letters. Most were work-related, but one stood out, a note titled Draft. I opened it. I can't keep lying to him anymore. He doesn't deserve this. But I also can't lose everything we built. You said you'd handle it, but time's running out. Please, just end it cleanly this time. I froze. Every word felt like a punch. I stared at that last sentence. End it cleanly this time. This time. What did that even mean? Another secret? Another lie before this one? I dropped the tablet like it was burning my hands. I paced, my thoughts spiraling, too fast to catch. Maybe Jay wasn't just a coworker. Maybe he wasn't just a friend. And maybe the van wasn't a plumber's van at all. For the first time, I realized I didn't even know what company name was printed on it. I'd seen the footage. I could go back, zoom and find out. The truth was sitting right there, waiting for me. But the thought of seeing more terrified me. Because what if this time there was no room left for doubt? I spent that night on the couch again, staring at the ceiling, waiting for her to come home. She didn't. Her car wasn't in the driveway when I checked. Her phone went straight to voicemail. At 2:14 a.m., I got a text. "We need to talk tomorrow. Please don't do anything stupid." No name. No signature. Just the message. But I knew the number. It wasn't Emily's. It was his. I didn't sleep that night. My mind was a reel stuck on repeat. The text, the letter, the van. Every possible explanation glided in my head until I couldn't tell what was real anymore. At 7 a.m., sunlight crept through the blinds, slicing the darkness into quiet, golden lines. The world outside looked peaceful, ironic, considering mine was collapsing. Her car was still gone. I stared at my phone again, The message sitting there like a ticking bomb. We need to talk tomorrow. Please don't do anything stupid. I typed, "Who is this?" Then deleted it. Typed again, "Where is Emily?" Then deleted that too. Every word I wanted to say felt either too desperate or too dangerous. Instead, I waited. Around 9:15. A black SUV pulled up across the street. Not a plumber's van this time. Sleeker, newer, tinted windows. My pulse picked up. I stepped to the window, careful not to be seen. The driver's door opened. A man got out. He wasn't what I expected. Early 40s, maybe. Fit, but not intimidating. Dressed in a simple gray shirt and jeans. He stood for a moment, looking at my house like he'd been here before. Then he walked toward my front door. Every instinct told me not to open it, but curiosity, or maybe anger, pulled me forward. I opened the door before he could knock. We locked eyes. "Mateo?" he asked. His voice was calm. Too calm, yes. He nodded slowly like he'd been rehearsing this. "I'm Jordan." The name hit me like ice. The J from the note. I didn't say anything, just stared at him, waiting for the lie. He sighed, rubbed the back of his neck, then looked up again. "Emily asked me to come by. She thought it might be easier if I talked to you first." My jaw tightened. "Talk about what?" He hesitated, eyes flicking toward the ground. "About what's been going on." "She's not." "Where is she?" I cut in. He looked genuinely pained. "She's at her sister's. She just needed time." I laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. Time. After lying to me for weeks. After pretending a plumbing van was parked outside for 5 hours for a 5-minute fix. "Yeah, sure, time sounds fair." Jordan didn't react. He just let me vent, then said quietly, "She didn't lie to hurt you." That line nearly made me snap. "Oh, please. You're seriously going to stand here, in front of me, in my house, and justify what she did?" He looked at me then, not defensively, not arrogantly, but with something else. Pity, maybe. Or guilt. "I'm not here to justify anything," he said softly. "I'm here to explain." He took a small envelope from his pocket and placed it on the table near the entryway. My name was written on it in Emily's handwriting. She wanted you to have this, but she wasn't ready to give it to you herself. I didn't touch it. I just stared at him. "You can explain it yourself, can't you? Go ahead. Tell me how long you have been." "It's not what you think," he interrupted. His voice steady but heavy. "Emily and we used to work together. Years ago. Before you and she met. So, he said, something happened back then. Something she never told you. Because she thought it was over." He took a deep breath. "I used to be her therapist." I blinked. "What?" "She came to me for help after a traumatic incident at her previous job. I crossed a line. I shouldn't have. We got close, too close. I lost my license because of it." His eyes glistened, but his voice didn't waver. "She cut off all contact. Tried to move on. Built a life with you. But a few months ago, she got a letter from a licensing board. They were reopening her case as a witness because someone had filed a complaint against me. She panicked, thought I might go to jail, that my family would suffer. She didn't want to see me, but she felt responsible." He looked down. "So she met me here. Just once. She asked me to come to your place because she couldn't face seeing me anywhere else. I told her I'd handle it. That she didn't owe me anything. She told me she'd tell you eventually." I just stood there, speechless. My mind was fighting itself. It fit. The lie about the plumber. The secrecy. The guilt in her eyes. The note, and it cleanly this time. It all fit. And yet, another part of me didn't want to believe him. Because believing him meant admitting how wrong I had been. I finally picked up the envelope. My fingers trembled as I opened it. Inside was a single page, handwritten. "Mateo, I didn't know how to tell you without destroying us. Jordan was a mistake from a different life. Before you. Before I knew what real love felt like." He reached out because his past was catching up to him, and I felt like it was partly my fault. I never meant to hide it from you. I thought if I could fix it quietly, we could go back to normal. But I see now that secrets, even well-intentioned ones, only rot what's real. Please know I never betrayed you. Not in the way you think. But I understand if you can't forgive me. Emily, I read it 3 times. Each word a mixture of pain, relief, and disbelief. Jordan stood quietly by the door, giving me space. When I finally looked up, I asked, "Why text me last night? Why say don't do anything stupid?" He sighed. "Because she was worried. She saw how you've been acting. She didn't want you to do something you'd regret." I nodded slowly, setting the letter down. The anger was still there, but beneath it was something worse. Shame. I had gone behind her back, stalked our neighbor's footage, assumed the worst. And all along, she'd been trying to protect both of us from a ghost she never invited back. I leaned against the wall, exhausted. "So what now?" He shrugged, quietly. "Now, you decide whether the truth changes everything, or nothing." He turned and left. No drama, no goodbye. Just the sound of his footsteps fading away. When the door closed, I finally let out the breath I'd been holding for days. I wasn't sure whether to cry or laugh. All I knew was that trust, once cracked, never looks the same again. The house felt too quiet after Jordan left. That kind of silence that hums in your ears like it's alive. I stood there for a long time, letter in hand, unable to move. Outside, the world looked maddeningly normal. The sun was out. Kids were riding their bikes down the street. Somewhere, a dog barked. And yet, my whole reality had just been flipped inside out. For the first time in my life, I didn't know whether I wanted my wife to come home or not. By evening, the sky turned the color of old bruises, deep purple and fading orange. I was sitting by the window, the letter still open on the coffee table, when I saw headlights pull into the driveway. Her car. The front door creaked open slowly. Emily stepped inside, her eyes swollen from crying, her hands trembling as she set her purse down. We didn't speak. Not for a full minute. Then she said softly, "You read it." I nodded. She looked down, twisting her wedding ring. "I'm sorry, Mateo. I should have told you everything. I was just afraid," I said. Her eyes lifted, wet and glimmering. "Yes." I let the word hang there. "Afraid I'd stop trusting you. Or afraid I'd finally see who you really are." Her breath hitched. She didn't answer. And somehow, that silence said everything. She sat across from me on the couch, the distance between us feeling like miles. "I didn't cheat on you," she whispered. "Not physically, not emotionally. I swear on everything. But yes, I lied. I panicked. I didn't want my past to ruin our present." I laughed, not mockingly, but in disbelief. "Emily, you lied about everything. The plumber, the van, the receipts, the hours you weren't here. I spent days thinking you were having an affair." I turned into a paranoid wreck. Tears streamed down her face. "I know. And that's what kills me." The way she said it. It wasn't defensive. It wasn't manipulative. It was just raw, shattered honesty. She reached for the letter on the table. I kept thinking if I just fixed it quietly, it would disappear. But secrets don't disappear, Mateo. They multiply. I stared at her, at the woman I'd loved for 7 years, the one who could make me laugh with one look, the one I built my life around. And yet, right then, she looked like a stranger wearing her skin. I called the plumbing company. I said quietly, "They had no record of you." She closed her eyes. "I know. I made up the receipt. I thought if you asked, I'd have proof ready." My heart twisted. "You didn't even trust me with the truth." Her voice broke. "Because I didn't trust myself with it either." The room went still. Only the faint hum of the refrigerator filled the air. The same hum that had been there during every argument, every morning coffee, every quiet night. Finally, I stood up. "I don't know what to do with this," I said. "You want forgiveness, but you burn the foundation of what you're asking me to rebuild." She looked up at me, desperate. "Then tell me what to do." "I'll do anything. I'll go to therapy. I'll come clean to everyone. Stop," I said gently. "This isn't something you fix with a checklist." I walked toward the door, hand on the knob, not even sure where I was going. Maybe outside, maybe just away. Behind me, I heard her voice, small, trembling. "Mateo, please don't go." Something in her tone made me pause. I turned. Her eyes were locked on me, but she wasn't crying anymore. There was something else there now, a strange, eerie calm. "I didn't tell you everything," she whispered. My stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" She stood slowly, her movements deliberate. Jordan wasn't just my therapist. He was also the reason I quit my old job. When I ended things, he didn't take it well. He started showing up places, calling, watching. I froze. He said if I ever told anyone, he'd make sure I regretted it. I thought it was over. Until 2 weeks ago. He came back. Her voice shook now. He showed up here, Matteo. That van wasn't a plumber's van. It was his. I didn't know what to do. I panicked. I didn't want to drag you into it. So I lied. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it. Are you saying he was stalking you? She nodded, tears returning. Yes, but when I confronted him last week, he promised he'd stop. That's why he texted you, to make sure you wouldn't do anything rash. Because he knew, if you found out everything, you might. It felt like the floor dropped out beneath me. Every piece of the puzzle rearranged itself. The van, the secrecy, the fear in her eyes. She wasn't lying to betray me. She was lying to protect me. But then a darker thought crept in. Emily, how do you know he'll actually stop? She swallowed hard. Because I made sure of it. I frowned. What do you mean? She looked away, her hands trembling. When he came here that last time, I told him if he ever came near us again, I'd go public with everything. I had proof. Messages, recordings. My blood ran cold. Emily, what did you do? Before she could answer, there was a sharp knock on the door. 3 slow, heavy knocks. We both froze. She looked at me, terror in her eyes. Don't open it, she whispered. Another knock. Louder this time. My heart raced. Who is it? I called out. No answer. I grabbed my phone, ready to call the police. When a voice spoke through the door. Com. Male, familiar. Matteo, it's Jordan. We need to talk again. Emily's hand flew to her mouth. Oh my God. I turned toward her. You said, I told him never to come back. She whispered, shaking. I swear. Another knock. This one slower, harder, like a threat. I looked at the door, then at her eyes wide, tears streaking her face, and realized something terrifying. This wasn't over. It never had been.